Hello and welcome to another episode of The Sligo Show with myself, Brendan Tierney. Today we have a man not from Sligo, but a man well known all over Sligo, but he is an amazing, amazing project that is to benefit not just to where he's from in Mayo, but to Sligo and all over the country. Donal Byrne, you're very welcome to The Sligo Show.
Brendan, how's the crack?
I'm all good. You just raced down from Mayo this evening, you got the kids to bed, everyone's happy at home, and now down and have a chat about what you're doing.
It's great. It's been down the road, listen to a podcast on the way.
There you go, and you can listen to yourself on the way home now. So the reason I wanted you on, I love the idea of the, is Feidir Linn, sorry?
It's Feidir Linn,
my apologies. Feidir Linn Trade School. Tell it to people that don't know what this is. What is it all about?
Oh, so I suppose it's Ireland's first independent trade school, and it's the only trade school at the moment. What came about comes from my experience dealing with Solace Apprentice, my experience in secondary school, and I was lucky enough to have been on a trade mission in America probably about 7 years ago, where I saw a trade school in Saratoga. And I've been talking about it on interviews and hoping that somebody listens to me and does it. And last year, it actually happened in Sligo. On my way from Donegal, I had a battle with a book that was back from Solace. And I said, this has to change. And I pulled in and I put it out on Instagram. Who would come to a meeting? Would there be a demand there for a trade school? And it blew up.
Wow.
So it went viral, and we had a public meeting, and we filled the big room in the Park Hotel, and we sort of asked, there was a lot of parents to stay away, and what we more looked for was working professionals, people who could offer something, and the diversity in the room was unbelievable. So we had lecturers from the university down here, we had secondary school teachers, we had lawyers, people of all the trades, people who had experience in the educational system, and we narrowed the room down to everyone spoke. Everyone got a chance to speak. We opened up the room, we took a little break, bit of networking, and back again. People got more comfortable, what they thought would work, what would not work, my vision. And we handpicked, I suppose, 30, and we narrowed the 30 down to 15, and we formed a board, and the dream is now a reality. So if you look at who's on the board, solicitors, businessmen and women, lecturers, secondary school teachers, people from a vast, all walks of life. And they all have the one thing in common, that one size fits all educational system doesn't work. It may be them, it may have been their children, and we sort of went with the concept that this is very much a prototype year. So what we've done is picked out 8 subjects, and we have 8 companies involved, and that for the first year the students would get to taste the companies. Every 6 weeks they would move, and then at the end of the year they'll say, look, I absolutely loved aviation with Air Trade at Knock Airport, or I love plumbing with BRB Homes, or I loved heavy mechanics with Harrington Quarries. And they then specialise the second year. But if we take Solace, which was FOSS, and what my issue is with it is, it's 1 full year waiting to be called to go to college. So you have a student in a brilliant routine, and he or she is fitting in excellently with the team, and then they get the call to go to college, and they come down to Sligo, and their first term is their longest term. So they're 6 months gone, and they've got into a bad routine of drinking pints and putting on a beer belly, not getting up, and not into a routine of up in the morning. And when they come back, then they're out of routine, they're out of shape, and they're full of fantasies of, there was a buck there from Dublin Airport and he's on 1,200 a week, and this is somebody who has just about a toolbox or a lunchbox, never mind a toolbox. So they're then learning, for example, in carpentry, how to make a window and a door, when we all buy them in factories nowadays. And this is a program that's going to take 4 years roughly for them to be called. Or if you take plumbing, they're learning gun barrel and copper. It doesn't exist anymore. And lecturers who attended the meetings that advised us, for example, motor mechanics, the syllabus was to be updated in 2015. Okay. They've signed off on it now, but it's already out of date.
Well, the EV world, I'm sure, is a huge aspect of that.
And he told me that 8 hours is all that's dedicated to electric cars in the new syllabus. So, how is that even possible? So, to come away from it, I had all that disillusion with it. Now the student is with the school Monday and Friday, but they're at work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they're never gone away for a long period of time. They're tuned in all the time what's happening, and they're up early for school. We start at 8, and they're getting paid €350 for their week. But on this Monday, guest speakers were Alan Clark, Tommy Elliott, the famous DJ that has won all the awards in Mayo. He spoke to them about public speaking. Alan told his life story. Okay, on Friday they have driving lessons, they have cooking class, they will learn a life skill, and they're all stuff that they can put to use. So we had our first 6-week meeting last Thursday, and we sat down and went through the list of what they had done. Safe pass, manual handling, abrasive wheels, first aid, working at heights, change a tyre, tie a tie. They had 6 different dinners. They
tie a tie, like,
It's basic stuff. Iron a shirt. But what they had learned
that's amazing.
I mean, 6 weeks was just mind-boggling. And the lecturer from the university had said straight out, one of them, look, they wouldn't learn it in 2 years in secondary school.
Yeah.
But it's just, I suppose, bringing it back to basics. How can a memory test of 5 years education over a 3-week period be the be-all and end-all when you actually can just motor in, and you might be good with your hands, you might be good at talking, which is all skills that aren't looked upon within secondary school.
Yeah. So if I'm one of the attendees, how long I'm in there from whatever October you said, roughly September, October. It finishes in a certain
October
time.
again next year. Oh, sorry, you the full year.
Yeah.
So you get the Christmas holidays, but other than that, you have 21 days annual leave like a permanent employment.
Okay. So you've got that structure
straight away. And if you're missing on a Monday, you're in bother. They've all signed up to a drugs and alcohol policy, which I have in place at work. If there is, for any reason, we feel that you are abusing one or the other, or you're out of shape, you piss in the cup. And it's simple as that. There's rules and regulations like any job, but we're not treating them like kids. We're treating them like employees, but we're teaching them along the way. So they're learning responsibility. So the first day they were in with the accountant, how to read the payslip. With the credit union in the first Friday, how to set up a savings account, how to budget your money, how to be cute about it. And they're all things that people take for granted that kids can't do no more. And we have a generation that have been mollycoddled and bubble wrapped. And I see it as an employer. I don't want to hear from your mom and dad looking for a job. I want to hear from you. And it was the same with the interview from the school. Parents weren't allowed to apply. It had to be the student. And the interviews were brilliant. If you never had a summer job, you were straight away struck out. You had to have the work ethic in you. You had to have showed that, look, I've been working the last 2 or 3 years, or I've been mowing gardens, and, shown.
Yeah.
And that's when we'll take you, foster you, mind you, and help you, I suppose, move forward. But if you've been at home every summer on the PlayStation, we're not the place for you. If you just dislike school, we're not the place for you. You have to have work ethic, you have to have drive, and we'll foster that.
And say school leavers or something, could they, if they have still gone back and they've gone a part-time job, that it's open to anyone? Is there certain regulations
once you're finished your junior cert, so from 16 years of age to 18, I really don't want the after leaving cert. And the reason for that is I feel they're coming because they had a bad leaving cert. It wasn't their first choice. Trades shouldn't be looked at like that. It really should be taken from, look, instead of doing transition year, I'm going to do this year because I want to be in a trade and I'm going to learn these skills. And look, if it wasn't for me, I can go back to school. But ideally, we're looking for the people that want the trade from the start, because that's the time to teach them the good habits from 16 to 18. Not after they've been forced to go to school for 2 years, learn the bad habits, falling out with everyone, got a bit of an attitude going along with it. If you get them and mind them, you'll make them.
So when they're being paid, so you hook them up with companies that are willing to go, like if 15 or 10 or whatever number of people, they're paying their wages through the year, or is there a cost to be in the school? Or
no, so there is both. Okay, so
which there should be, obviously.
It's Feidir Linn Limited is a company.
Yeah.
So all the students are an employee of the company. Okay, and the employers are the companies. So BRB is one, for example. An invoice is raised to us weekly, monthly, fortnightly, whatever way you want it. We pay the trade school, and the trade school pays the employee or the student. And it is fully funded by us, the companies. So as Alan Clark said to me, it's not a very good business model. It's not about the making money.
Yeah.
It's about the future investment. So I already know, let's take Harrington Concrete, for example. They had 2 students last week. They wanted to keep one and offer him an apprentice. And Frank is on the borders. He said, that's not what this is about. You've identified we have a good student. At the end of his first year, if he wishes to do the steel fabrication or the mechanics with us through the trade school, he can. But for the moment, we have another one coming in 6 weeks' time. But it's shown straight away. We have a factory line coming out of good people rather than, I suppose, taking what's out there, which is, for us, Solis is dated. The educational system is dated. And we need to rev it up to give trades a life, because IBEX conference this year, or the tech conference in Mayo, the director of IBEX said for the first time ever that somebody with a trade will earn more in the next 5 years than a person with a degree or come out of college. And it's sort of always been frowned upon. We got rid of, if you go back 30 years ago in Ireland, there was a tech. So you had the option, instead of going to secondary school, to go into the tech. They got rid of all that. And we've created a conveyor belt pushing staff out to pharmaceuticals, into multinationals, and we've forgotten about the trades. And now we've a housing crisis, and a massive part of that is the trades.
I'm kind of a bit speechless. I didn't really fully understand. I thought it was like trades. So it's not just your traditional trades. They get a taste of a wide range of trades.
So you have I suppose the normal trades of carpentry, plumbing, steel fabrication, mechanics. You have aviation, bar and catering, which we feel is awful important. The hospitality sector has been, I don't think, has been pushed properly. I think the art of conversation at a bar, been a bar person. A lot of young people have their phone out, and we had a young student in Eileen's bar last week, and we've luckily an excellent barman. And she learned how to make cocktails. She learned how to, prepare a proper pint, keeping the glassware correct, not looking at your phone, talking to the person that has come in that is wanting to talk. So little things like that. And of course, aviation. We're delighted to have teamed up with Air Trade at Knock Airport. And what they're doing is bringing in huge planes, breaking them down, selling the parts. But where else would you get a chance at 16 years of age to be working on an airplane? And they have the same problem. Where do they get staff? How do they get staff? Now, aviation is a whole course within itself. So if you've been identified, you can definitely do hours, but then sign up and do the aviation apprenticeship.
So if there's very specific specialist things, like some things will require obviously a certain certificate to get insurance or to wire a house, but you're going, this is a window into that world, but is a proper structure.
Correct.
And it'll round the edges of you as well on the Monday, Friday with talks and skills. And so you've, like, those companies you mentioned, so if I'm in your school, I'm with one of them for 6 weeks, rolling around all year round.
Every 6 weeks. And there's one I left out, which is, I suppose, auto body work. We're with Hamilton Restoration in Donegal. So if you take it, a student has been to Donegal for the last 6 weeks. So I had to get the bus up every Monday evening. Had to stay in a B&B Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Had to learn about being away from home. And that's what I also like. They're not all in your back doorstep. Got to get to work, get from work. There's a bit of logistics to it, which is what teenagers need, because mom, like, we cycled everywhere as kids. That's all gone.
Walks.
Mom and dad drop and pick them everywhere. So they're also learning that bit of independence.
My God, it's even better than I thought it was. And this is why I said I love the idea of what you're doing. And like you mentioned, BRB Homes, like, you're a ferocious, energetic entrepreneur. And like, you're going, well, I've already set up the thing to help another problem in the country, but now you're going to go, well, I can create this a bigger monster here and get more and more people. Because as you said, a number of the trades you said that would inevitably go into the world of BRB Homes as well.
Look, and if none of them pick it, you'd hope somebody would.
Yeah.
We've still got 8 more into trades this year. So we already see that there's companies happy with them. And we've took the feedback from the employer every week, and we've given it to the student and said, look, you were late one morning last week. You've took 10 cigarette breaks. You have to work on that. And you can see they have worked on it. But the difference in the student in 6 weeks, they sit back, more confidence. They present a little bit on Friday how it went. They're not as shy. They're able to tell, what happened along their week. Even the handshake, we practice that. They're just simple things. I'm blown away. Like, I was expecting, after our 6 week meeting last week, to get a list of complaints, get a list of things we had to work on, and which for the first 6 weeks you would expect, there was very, very little.
So do you like, I love the approach you're having. It's like, look, we'll be there for you and support you, but we won't mollycoddle you too much. And they've probably learned, well, they might have given up or given out the first week, but after 6 weeks ago, actually, no, I've learned, and that's good for me. Like.
And they have. I don't think any student has argued with, the correction. And it's correction in a nice way.
Of course.
All right. And like, I'll give a simple example. I won't name the employer. They were being collected by the employer. So on, we'll just say Tuesday, they weren't on time. So the employer waited, rang, they came out, and off they went to work. The next day, they weren't out on time. Rang, no answer. The employer drove off. So the student rang 15 minutes later, I slept in. That sound, how are you getting here? Well, there's no lift round. Well, you better start walking. And it took him an hour and 15 minutes. But he walked there and he learned the value. He said, will you be on time tomorrow? Guaranteed I'll be on time tomorrow.
God. This is the future for my, and again, I'm trying so many questions. It was Kieran Malooly was down with you?
Yes.
So there is politicians coming in going, what's this happening here?
So Kieran was doing an interview with Midwest Radio. He had given an example of he wanted to get trades back because of the Borden and Mona plants had all been closed, and Borden and Mona was massive for trades. And the Midwest Radio presenter said, have you heard about the trade school? So he had heard a bit and he got totally intrigued and he asked to come down. So when he came down, it was the Friday, the kids were in cooking pasta from scratch, the whole lot. He chatted to them. We sat at the table and he asked how he could help. And he's under certain restrictions on what he can and cannot do. And he's been given a massive wish list from me. I have very little patience, as he
Which
said
is why
himself,
this is working. To be honest,
he said, you need to learn. To wait, we'll make it happen. With or without them, we're going to plough on. I would love to see backing, but at the moment, we haven't took anyone's money. We can't be dictated to by anybody. But every 6 weeks, as a board, we'll sit down and we'll tweak it and change it. And hopefully we'll have a lovely business model that you could roll out to other counties and, help them move forward.
So for your working week, it's not as if you don't have enough to be at, but on a Monday, on a Friday, are you in there all the time? Is it various tutors? Is it a mix mash? Or?
So I'm lucky, Christina, who works with me in BRB Homes all the time, is the coordinator. So she's in the school Monday and Friday. I attend briefly Monday and Friday.
Yeah, which would be,
in and out of
even that
speed.
is amazing, yeah.
And for example, so last Friday I sat with every student to tell them where they were going. Their 6 weeks is up for the next one. Talk through any logistical issues they may have coming or going from their employment. Monday I was there to introduce Alan and have a little chat with them how their weekend went. For example, when I walked into the room, the conversation was the car crash that happened at the weekend. We had a conversation about that, and I suppose drugs and driving and realistic conversation that I suppose people are unwilling to talk about. Same thing with suicides. We've discussed that very openly. This isn't, if there's something to be discussed, it'll be discussed. Even from personal hygiene. We had an issue for an employer. We addressed it in the room. Some people are unaware of the world around them, and they may not have been educated in it. So we're there to help them.
It's unbelievable. It's so good what you're doing. And the obvious Irish thing, but why is he doing that? But from talking to you, from seeing it, no one asked you to do it. You're not particularly, I imagine, gaining much from it, but other than you must have a real passion to see stuff happening and maybe helping young people kind of change.
Look, my favourite hobby is proving pricks wrong. Because if they say it can't be done, definitely we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But when you see the students after the 6 weeks, it would do your heart good to see them, listen to them, talk to them, and what they've learned, what they're going to do. Look, if we never made a euro, it doesn't matter. If the government would learn from it. Saratoga in America, every state has the school beside the secondary school. And what happens over there is from first year to third year, you do a few hours every day. And at third year, you make the decision, am I going academia or am I going trade? But you've also learned the basics, how to change the oil in your car, how to drive a digger, all stuff like that. So Flannery's in the UK. Let's take an example. I only learned this since we opened the school. They're the biggest plant men in the UK. They placed the biggest order with JCB that's ever been placed in the world last year. They're from Clonbur, Galway, Mayo border. They started their own driving school. So they have all simulators for diggers and dumpers.
These gadgets, yeah.
And we have plant machinery on the syllabus. That's awful important. We went out to the new road to see Wills's with the students on their first day trip, and they met the female dump truck drivers. But they're not educated in Ireland. They've all been to Australia, ended up in education in the mines, driving the dump trucks, and now they're home. So we need to copy the same thing. America's doing it, Australia's doing it. Instead of being, we're very reactive instead of proactive as a state.
And what's your next stage? Are you kind of hoping, look, maybe in a governmental way they'll start adopting this, and you can't just, time life, you can't keep going. But
they're not even in my plan. I wouldn't even wait for them because I'd be old and grey and it's just disheartened me, and there'd be too much red tape. We have been approached by a philanthropist, and I am hoping that they accept us. And if they do, you go on tiered funding. So if they see that you're working and they see that you're putting effort, they'll keep up in the funding. And if there's more businesses want in now, and hopefully we'll have the likes of Wills is on next year, big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And we want to make the school bigger. We want a school in another county, and there's other counties approaching, pick us, but we want this one to be perfect before we go rolling it out everywhere. Like the red tape, there is an awful lot of stuff you got to have right.
Yeah, but I know you're saying I have no patience with red tape, but as you said, there is obviously still a certain level.
There is a course. There is a course, and there's a lot of it we have done, and there's a lot more we need to do, and that's why I suppose the smaller numbers was easy this year.
Yeah.
But for something that's self-funded, it's great that it's working, and it's great. Look, employers are struggling to get staff. Yep. Staff is our biggest export as a country is young people, and we educate them and we ship them out, and we forget about them. Like, I'd say it was 5 years ago I started off incentives for people come back to Australia, that we'd pay shipping containers and stuff like that if they were with us more than 6 months. Now the Irish government are flat out at the same crack, but you have to bring them pulling and dragging to this stage instead of, I suppose, trying to keep them here at the start.
Yeah. Well, like they cost millions to put someone through the education system if that's what they go through, and then go right off you go down to Australia or whatever.
And that's, look, all our nurses, all our doctors, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's the way we do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So with or without them, anyways, we're ploughing on.
But like if it could be done, you'd be like, wouldn't it be great if this became a national, a state-run project?
Definitely. Like, if we take the secondary school teachers that have been to the meetings, and they told me how metalwork is now becoming technology. They're calling it the Lego class. They've removed the lathe, the welders, all that type of stuff, because it's too dangerous. And now you're going to be putting together stuff like Lego. Like, that's madness.
Yeah.
They're practical subjects, and you remove the practical element, forget about it.
Yeah.
So if that's the way it's going to go, and that's the way it has gone, this is already a fact, it's a reality.
Yeah.
There's no alternative. We are the alternative, whether physically standing beside a welder, using it, bandsaws, angle grinders, chop saws, but they're taught safely how to do it. Of
course.
You can't wrap everyone up in bubble wrap.
No. Well, we were talking to a lady in a previous episode from the Sligo Sudbury School, which is self-directed learning, and it can be from the age of, like, I think 4 or 5 up. But like, they can go in and they get a certificate for the woodwork room. Show me you're able to do this, and whether you're 7 or 12 or whatever, I might be getting the age slightly wrong, but like, it's the same ethos. Will you give people responsibility? Like, just because they're a certain age doesn't mean they're thick or they can't do it. Like, as you said, stop sugarcoating everything. And
we need to go back to basics. Like, our parents, our grandparents, they were far more able as younger people to get on and go and do things, and we're gone too soft. And if we don't go back rapid fast, we're going to be in bother.
Yeah.
That kids can't change the tyre of a car. That's a crazy thing. Cannot cycle a bike. Simple stuff, because they're sitting in front of a computer screen, the phone, and the art of conversation is lost. And nephews and nieces looking down at the phone, and they'd be able to WhatsApp, but they couldn't talk to you. That's sad. It's sad, and it's lovely to go back into a pub and have a pint and chat to someone, rather than everyone along the counter looking at his telephone.
Like, it's not many times in this show, we've done over 100 episodes, that I'm just astounded and nearly gobsmacked at how good a thing this is. And when I was bringing you down, I was like, I love the idea of this, but I had absolutely no intricate detail, and I'm glad we're capturing this, and I hope plenty of people are watching it, like, because it's absolutely...
Well, thank you very much.
No, and I mean that so sincerely, and I mean, I watch you from afar. I've met you a couple of times. You're a great crack. You're a messer when you need to be a messer, but I've listened to you on Alan Clark's podcast as well, your interview, your views on the way things are done rubbish in this country, and you're very passionate about your country and even your locality, and like what you've set up with, you have Eileen's Bar, you have your farm which looks unbelievable, and your BRB Homes. Just like, what was your, like, what was your school life like, or education, or what was it?
Well, my school life, I suppose it was a bit different to others. My father's a teacher, and a friend of his was opening an all-Irish school in Clamars, and we were the first class. So I was, I suppose, one of the guinea pigs that was sent in. And for a normal Joe Soap, I suppose it might have been easier. You do everything from Irish start to finish. You learn it all right, but I found it quite difficult. And we found out as I was a little older I was dyslexic. So I finished the end of my national school education in my father's school, and there was a lot more practical elements to it, and football and music there, and I liked it. And then when I went to secondary school, I loved it, because there was home economics, metalwork, construction, PE, ag science, all those things that weren't maths, Irish and English. I loved, and done very, very well in secondary school. And then I went to college. Wasn't for me. I got the points I wanted, done construction management at GMIT, dropped out after.
Do you think you just hated the whole system, or just to sub the course? Or
I loved the practical element of it, measuring out a house and pegging it out. I remember pegging them out on the football pitch in GMIT, but the maths was ridiculous. Like, it was honours level maths, and that's where courses going on points is stupidity when it should be on a test. Have you
the
know,
aptitude for
correct,
that?
It's so stupid the way it is done. And I left and went into construction, and it was the best thing that happened. The downturn came. I had to go driving a truck, delivering milk, and I sort of got into events, ended up in London in the Olympics, got a golden opportunity there. I was an operations manager and came back with the idea, the Big Red Barn. And the reason I came back is we'd over 2,000 marquees in the Olympic Park. They broke my fucking heart. Wind, rain, lifting them, moving them, snow caving in roofs, heat, condensation. So the sort of other type structure was in my head. It hadn't a name at the time. We made it out of steel. We cladded it with timber. We painted it.
Did you have a workshop at home? Is this your world already? Or?
No, I had sketched it out. And I showed it to a friend of mine who I was working with in construction, Paddy Galler at the time. And I was going to make it out of big timber beams. And he said, we should make it out of steel, paint it brown. It looked like timber. And we went to a fabricator in Roscommon with the prototype. And he made the prototype for us. And we painted the timber red. And then the Big Red Barn was born.
Yeah, that was in Sligo a number of years ago.
It was. One of its first gigs was in Killooney, the Rock and the Green.
That's right.
Then it was the Haunted House. Then it was the ice rink. So it had lots of different...
Well, it was Darragh Clark from Sligo involved. He's now on the Lewis Hamilton pit crew.
Well, no.
He told me a story about something with the Rock of the Green and going over to London involved in something else. So maybe there's a crossover somewhere. We'll have to get him on and ask him. So mad. So you started with that.
And then I entered Mayo's Best Young Entrepreneur. And the prize fund was for something new and innovative. So the Yes vote had come to Ireland. And there was same-sex marriage was passed, but there was no place for them to get married, bar a hotel room. So I said, we'll build a mobile chapel the same as the mobile barn. So the Little White Chapel was born. I won the €20,000 prize money and I built it. And we had it out Mullaghmore here at the edge of the cliffs for weddings. We've had it in Cunnion Island and all over the place.
Yeah. Is it still it's still going? Is
no,
it?
I sold it after COVID. COVID put an end to all the rental business. I sold it to the Clonard Court Hotel in Laois, and they still do weddings in it. It's fabulous. They have it in the middle of a barley field. It's very well done. Wow. So then with Europe's first 2-story modular building, the National Ploughing Championships, we used to do Lidl stand. They were paying per square foot, and they said, would you go up the floor? So we built a 2-story one, and they had Michael English, Derek Ryan upstairs playing music, and downstairs was
in
a little
temporary
shop. Yeah, it was amazing. They won the best stand at the Balmoral show and the Ploughing Championships. Then we done Top Gear's work across the UK, and then we started a smaller 1-bed type unit for back gardens. Same concept, this modular concept. So then COVID came, eliminated all the rentals overnight. So we concentrated on the I suppose
were
the
you
homes.
in the home now in Mayo at this point?
Yes,
okay.
sorry. When I came back
not that it matters, I'm kind of curious to build the story.
I designed the BRB Home, or the Big Red Barn, and we were based in a mushroom tunnel first in Ahamore. Then we rented a warehouse in Ballyhonus, and then we bought where we are now in Swinford, and we've extended it massively. So after the rental was eliminated, we went into manufacturing more so, and we started to make 1-bed units for back gardens. And then people kept coming to us saying, can we get a 2-bed, a 3-bed? But you're gone above the planning regulation.
Yeah, the whatever square metre. Yeah.
So I knew, it was going to become problematic. So we hired an engineer and said, how do we get to this standard? So fair play. He's still working with me to this day, Mikey Gillespie. He spec'd it up. This is the thickness of the walls, insulations, fire rating. It took us a long time to get there. Got there, launched at the National Ploughing Championships, and boom. It just took off. They called it the Wake House. There was a queue like a mile long, and I was sore from talking. But people to this day still say, I seen you at the Ploughing Championships. I remember you been there. And at the start, it was smaller type houses. Now we can build anything. Schools, childcare facilities, 3,500 square foot houses. We sent first house to America this March. So anything that you have on a drawing, I can make it modular.
So I have a site now in whatever, Grange, wherever I am, and I go to you for a modular house. Like, what's the journey of going, this is the one I want? Is it difficult to plan in? Is there headaches? Is there...
No, so we're the one-stop shop. So at the start we weren't. So every problem that we encountered, we took it on and overcame it. So at the start it was, right, I have a site. Well, there's the drawings, go and get planning. And then the engineer would drag his heels and he'd change the design and they wouldn't get planning. So we said, we'll do the planning application for you. So we would go out, survey the site, dig the trial hole, do the trial hole report, design the house that meets your need, fire in the application. Then when it was granted, we'd do the commencement notice. Then we'd do the groundworks was the next problem then that we encountered, that the fella had come, say he was coming, he wouldn't come. House is made in the factory floor, no concrete in. So we said we do BRB groundworks. So we could now do the groundworks. Then the next problem they encountered was mortgages. At the start, the banks said, well, if we don't like the word modular, because if you default on the mortgage, you'll take down the house and run away with it. And we brought them
Easier
out.
said than
I
done.
know, but this is what you were dealing with. We educated them and brought engineers out and got engineers reports, so they understood this is a permanent dwelling. And then they started to lend money. So then we started to get the mortgages across the line. And now we do everything really bar painting inside. We can do the furniture, the appliances, all that.
But you'll get some of the number probably out of it.
Exactly. So it's pretty much turnkey, and we've built houses. We only finished a house for a couple from California. They got married last week in Kilrowan and Castle, but the house was built while they were in America. Back and over, emails, phones, we dealt with everything. And I suppose that's modern age for you nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, there's videos, there's 3D modelling. You don't need to be standing here. And the way I put it to people is, if you take Henry Ford 100 years ago and look at the way a car was built and look at the way a car is built now, and you take construction 100 years ago and the way it is now, it's not an awful lot different. One block on top of another, mortar, timber, you know, it's quite dated. Okay, the mechanics of plumbing and wiring has changed a bit, but the structure of the building hasn't. And unless we move with the times and start building houses in factories where there's less unique type labour required, we're never going to meet the need of housing. The new housing plan the government have brought out says 25% of it must be modern methods of construction. And when I met with them 8-9 years ago, they told me that Ireland, no way, our standards were too high, that was sound for America, the weather is too bad, and forget about it. So they've slowly but surely been pulled and dragged and are coming to the table eventually, when we should be way ahead. But we're way behind.
Yeah, I think it's just a general authorities thing in Ireland. Who's this upstart giving us a good idea?
It is.
We didn't think of it.
The tall poppy syndrome. It is. Just sit down and shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear from you. And that's what happened during COVID. And that's why I'm constantly always getting in bothers, because I'll say it as it is.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in taking it on if it's a daft cause. But if there's method to your madness, and there was method to my madness during COVID, I was the first to start the antigen testing. I insisted it would
For anyone
happen.
that doesn't know that story, you had Eileen's bar.
Yep.
And you put a tent outside. That's right.
Yeah,
right,
well, I
right?
put a barn. I put one of my own structures. Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And so people could go in and you test them there and then. Was that the gist?
Yes, so what had happened was the factory had to stay open, building the houses, because we were emergency. So we were doing a lot of isolation units for people that were sick. So back garden, you know, because you had to isolate. So if you had somebody that was ill, that they could have a unit out the back garden and be safe. So we were able to work, but I wanted to keep the cases at zero. So a friend of mine was in the healthcare service and he had started using these antigen tests. So I said, do they work? Yes, they work. So Godish gather them was testing the lads as they would come to work on a Monday and as they'd leave on a Friday.
Yeah.
Because that's where the bollocksome was at the weekend, that you couldn't be sure. So if you were turning up positive, you weren't coming back in, at least we knew you were leaving clean. And it worked brilliantly. So then I said, I had a brand new pub that had only opened in the December and I had to close in March, and I was entitled to the COVID money because I hadn't 12 months of accounts So it was hemorrhaging money. And I was watching she-beans everywhere.
Yeah.
And this food business going on. And
€7 meal or was it €11 meal?
because COVID knows what food is like.
Yeah, it was very intelligent.
Stupidity. And
But only now when you look back, even no one can say, that was a good idea.
So my idea was, this is mental stuff, lads. Why don't we test everybody before they come in? And then we know we have a safe pub. Now, inside is still not a free-for-all. You have your social distancing, you have your traceability, so on and so forth. So I went to the vintners, and the vintners goes, that's not a bad idea, you know. And I went to the solicitor, and he goes, there's actually no law against testing. So let's have a rattle at this. So I only kept it locally, all right? And the first day, off we went. Everyone was tested. Everyone was negative. Inside, well spaced out, superintendent arrives. And, you know, where's your food? I'm not getting food. Food doesn't stop COVID, testing does. You're not actually allowed in because you're not tested. And we had a very good conversation, right? And the two other guards said when he went out on the phone, look, he's getting off pressure from Dublin. They've rang to go down and shut him down. So eventually, anyways, I had to go with him. He was arresting me. And it was all over the papers the next day. Okay, no, I wasn't charged on the night because the printer was broken. I put my head down and stayed quiet after it happened. But the abuse I took from my wife is working in a nursing home and we haven't seen her and people are dying because of the likes of you and fuck you and your drink, la la la. Like what my system was the smartest system of them all. People were tested. So year passed, someone's charge arrived and I called the super and said, what's going on? And he goes, look, it's above my pay grade, but they want you to be made an example of. So that's sound. I went and I got a shit hot solicitor, told him the story, Michael Staines from Dublin, and we came down. We looked for a disclosure. They had 2 weeks to give it to us. They didn't give it on the second week. We went to get the case struck out and they landed with a box of stuff. So we went for the case. Everyone practiced, all our experts and everything got, and it was withdrawn that morning by the state. So it was very much, I was in the same court as everyone who broke the 5 kilometre radius, everyone who had a house party.
Yes.
So we'll just say some of them were reckless. We were testing. And I was arrested in November, December, and in January the law was passed and they started posting antigen testing out to everyone's house, which is a great thing. Like, so you go to, we're going to lock a man up here for testing people to post and tests out to you free of charge. So this is how fucking cracked it was.
At the time, like, I mean, was it even maybe family or friends? Was anyone saying to you, stop? Was it actually getting to you? Were you like, no, I know what I'm doing? It must have been elements of it being tricky, I suppose.
No, fair play. Family and friends were behind it. Everyone that had balls was there that night.
Yeah.
All right. And there was a lot of heroes on social media that are not heroes no more. You know, but if you remember the same time, and for anyone that has heard it before, I do apologise for repeating myself. There was a teacher in Claremore School who got in massive trouble for closing a school because the numbers got big. So he closed it. But he closed it without permission from the department. So they said, get back and open the school. Like, it was just nuts. Yeah. It was real Nazi type regime.
Well, it was gone mental and you were afraid to look sideways at some people in case they
But neighbours falling out with each other over painting fucking houses because it was illegal to buy paint. Like, Jesus Christ, man, when you look at it, you couldn't fucking write it.
No.
And and that's where this point comes back to your question is the government do not want to hear from us, but they have a board that were put together for this housing plan that is not a fucking plan with no experts. They claim they have experts and they have, you know, retired civil servants that know fuck all about building houses when they should have actually pulled, and there is no one solution. They should have pulled somebody from each type of the different constructions, from timber, light gauge, heavy gauge, modular, blocks, concrete, all around the table. Because it's like buying cars. There can't be one brand of fucking car. There has to be a car for everyone at a price range for everybody. Different engines, different speeds from the Rolls Royce down to the fucking Lada. It has to be the same for housing. The red tape and planning has gone to fuck. That needs cutting out of the way. It's absolutely impossible. There's a cartel in the country in prices of certain items. Yeah. They all go up together. They haven't come down. One product alone, insulation, has got 80% since 2015. Not a word about it. How can a sheet of insulation be 70 quid? Yeah. Like, it's crazy. But it is very much job for the lads. Can't say that. And when I went in and met Junior Minister for Housing, the room was filled with fucking people I didn't know. They were all his entourage of experts that were Department of Construction and Department of this and Department of Planning. And Damien said, sweet fuck all. They done all the talking. But because it's when
so insulated as regards him afraid to say anything or ask anything.
And it's same circus, different clowns. So Jamie's the new clown that's elected, but it's the same boys behind him telling him what to say and do. When the whole lot needs crumpling into a ball and thrown into the bin, we've saw the bus shelter, we saw the bike shelter.
Yeah.
Good money after bad. I'm going to give you one small example. I don't want to go ranting about this now.
No, that's okay.
A man in power wanted to solve, I suppose, some of the trade issue. And he spoke to somebody in the educational department and said, in secondary school, what's the best thing we can do to help people get into trades? And she said, well, actually the Safe Pass, because it's the first thing they need in construction. So the county they were from, he said, how many students in fourth year in the county? She said 1,000. So he went away and she said, sorry, how much is a Safe Pass? She said, it's €100 if there was a bulk order. Bang on. He went away and got 100 grand. He came back and the 100 grand was now in his fund. And he said to whoever's in charge of the Department of Money, this is for Safe Passes. This is the provider of the Safe Pass, and they'll raise an invoice monthly as they do each school. Nope, it don't work like that, my friend. This has to go to public procurement. So he said, right, quick, get it to public procurement. The money is allocated. Now, there was 1,000 students at €100 a head. Public procurement, after 3 months, how many students now will do the Safe Pass?
As in, how many more?
No, so it was originally 1,000 students. After public procurement, how many students now will be doing the Safe Pass?
No idea. I can't even.
80 students. 80 students. I said, why haven't you gone public with this? And he said, I'm giving the guy in procurement a chance to explain himself. I said, there's no explaining. It's now €1,250 per student when it should be 100. And this is why the quangos and the schemes that set up is a fucking joke. And it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. That's why the bike shelter cost a few million, along with the security hut, because there's quangos and schemes. And procurement is a joke. If Mayo County Council break a shovel in Belmullet, they cannot go into the hardware store in Belmullet and put it on Mayo County Council's account. It must go back to public procurement, and it's actually a company in Waterford that have won the contract for shovels this year will get a shovel sent up. So let's think about it. Like, it's totally defunct.
Yeah. So the new housing plan, which I have not in-depthly read, would you agree with any of it, or do you think it's...
It is so detached from reality.
Right. Well,
okay, I'll put it in layman's terms. This year, they said they were going to build in 30,000 houses. Now, the reason they had that figure was a year and a half ago, they said, if you file your commencement notice before March, you won't have to pay your contribution fees. So for anyone who doesn't understand that, when you get planning, part of the conditions is you must pay a contribution fee to the local county council. It'll average between 1,500 and about 4 grand. All right. But if you file your commencement notice before March, you wouldn't have to pay it. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to build your house. You have filed it. And as we know, some people building a house, it can take 4 years, 2 years, 1 year. So they had a figure of 30,000. That was the commencement notice number. We're at about, I think, 14,000 at present. All right. The end of the year is fast approaching. We'll do well to get to 20. Now, that has to be completion. All right. Their new figures is 300,000 houses over 5 years. You do the maths. All right. It's what, 50,000 houses a year, roughly. They can't build 20 this year. How are they going to build 50 next year? Oh, we've a review board set up to look at the red tape and planning.
I presume you're on the review board, are you?
Stop. It's awful simple. Like, a planning should be a 1-page exercise.
Yeah.
And if you want to put in an objection as an arsehole, it's 10 grand. And that'll eliminate.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
Eliminate it.
There's valid objections, fair enough, but there's a lot of people that are not.
And if I built a housing estate in certain parts of the country, the sewerage and the water can't deal with it. There's a massive waiting, and Irish Water is a joke. So even if we built the housing estate, we can't connect to the sewer because the sewer isn't done. So we have an unrealistic plan that isn't anyways realistic, where it took, I suppose there should be about 10 different approaches to it and 10 different schemes within it, that there's a council mortgage, accessory dwelling units are allowed, that the planning is a 1-page paper exercise, that there is, if it's your family land, have at it, lots, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And let's take it when they needed an emergency plan for Ukrainians, they went and built houses like that.
Yeah, and so you're just saying that when they actually want, it can be done. Where would you see the biggest clog in the pipeline? Is it the planning? Is it the cost of things? Can the government do anything about the cost of supplies? Look,
DVAC construction is the simplest one. I canvassed for this and I met the last Minister for Finance, and the way I talk, you'd swear to God I'm interested in politics with all these politics I'm giving out to. No, I've gone to try and make it easier. If we took the VAT, and this has happened in the UK, and you took DVAC construction, there's 2 types of VAT. If you're self-building, you're 20%. Okay? If you're higher than me, you're saving 13.5%. So the average house is 400,000. Okay? If you take 20% of 400,000, Jesus Christ almighty, it's 80 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some saving for a couple. And where's that going? Down into the government's arse pocket. Like, it's crazy. That is, so instead they want you to apply for first time buyers and they want you to apply for a grant to do up a house, and it's going round slobbering. Just devat it. That money's in your pocket. Yeah. And if you are building for the second or third time, that's different. I'm on about for the first time.
And there's a huge vacuum. I mean, I'm 45, we have our house, and there's, I'm not trying to be a martyr, but I have a severe empathy or sympathy, I don't know which is the best way to describe it, with young people just trying to exist and start up and not be hung with a 300 or 400 or 500, whatever mortgage.
My tagline was reward those who try. Yeah. Why are we punishing those who want their own house? They aren't looking for a free house. Yeah. They're not looking for anything off the state with their hand out. They just want their own house. That's the person we should say, lads, thank you very much for not looking for something off us for nothing. Here we go now. There's your planning straight away, and there's the DVAT license for you, so you don't have to pay VAT on what you're buying. Jesus, we have just totally put our foot on their neck, and now most of them are going to be borrowing $500,000. Over 35 years, that's 900 grand they're giving the bank. They will have no quality of life.
I don't think anyone knows that when they start the mortgage.
I know.
No one ever tells them, do you know what this is?
They're all excited that they've got it, but their quality of life is gone. And the other thing is that they want the big house. They want the house that their sister has and their auntie has and their cousin has. When we could all get going with a bungalow, and you can always extend it in time to come. Like, we all grew up in bungalows, and there should be, look, this is a 2-stage bungalow, and I came up with this concept that this is the first part, this is the second part. You can put in for planning for the whole lot now, but this is A and this is B, and you can build B in 5-10 years whenever you have money. And let's get you going. Let's get your foot on the property ladder. Also, if you take the harder I work, trying to get overtime out of the lads, they're taxed on it. So instead of saying, look, you've earned your week's wages, you want to earn overtime, that's yours, or we're only going to charge you 5%, they're taking 42% of it. Like, you're punishing them once again. Like, it's absolutely crazy. You're not entitled to the medical card. You're not entitled to the grant because you're earning too much for your child to go to school. But the useless fucker that's doing absolutely nothing is entitled to all of the above and a free house. So how are you rewarding the poor bastards getting up in the morning, in the dark, coming home in the dark, trying his and her best? You're not rewarding them at all.
What's the biggest stress in your life?
I don't concentrate on what we're talking about at the moment too much, because it would drive you crack. The biggest stress is the cost, the rising costs. Like this new pension thing they're bringing in, this automatic enrolment in the new year, it's going to put a lot of companies out of business. And it's very unfair that the man who put it in place has fucked off today now and took a job with the World Bank. And it means if I'm self-employed and you're working for me and you put in 50, I have to match it. And it's going up 6% in the next 5 years. So if I have 100 employees and I'm putting in 50 quid for each one of them, it's $5,000 a week. It's $5,000. Like, if you take 52 weeks in the year, it's 150,000. A lot of companies, that's their profit margin. We're paying massive rates that we can't argue it. My insurance last year is 100 grand for the company. So if you take the overheads alone for you, open the door with red tape bullshit of pension, rates and insurance. Again, all three of them would be a healthy profit margin at the end of the day. And the revenue are not to be fucked with. And for a lot of companies that they're newer starting off, like, we have a standing direct debit there weekly of 20 grand that has to go to them. Can it be missed? And they will be calling for 1,500 euros, and them letters come in the door, they're not nice. So the self-employed people of this country are not rewarded. No one is standing up fighting for them. And again, we're punished. Instead of every 5 people you employ, do you know what, we're giving you an extra break on tax because you took 5 more people. It's not. You're punished constantly. And it's a novelty in a lot of our heads to be self-employed, and it's a dream. Now, we brought it from a tiny dream to a great reality, but it hasn't got easier. Do you know what I mean? It's just got harder and harder and harder. I've upped the price of my houses every month for the last 2 years. We're at 207 a square foot. I'll be at 210 by January. You go back and listen to my first podcast with Alan Clark, I'd say I was around 130, 140. It's like, that's some fucking jump.
And it's not you're getting joy out of going more money. It's
no, but if you could, all our accounts are online. They're easy published. You can see the profit margin hasn't gone up. But I'm going up to meet the cost of the material. Like, let's take even electric. ESB, who's a state-owned body, made more money last year than it ever made. ever made. And Pascal is on about giving out, or they did, there's your 230 people. Will you cop yourself on, lads? It's your state-owned business. Come back and regulate it, that it can't pass out a certain point. It's the same with the fuel. I couldn't get over when we went to America with the house. I could fill my Dodge Ram 5.6 litre petrol in America for $28 to the tits, but a steak dinner was costing me $60. How can you eat or drive cheaper than you eat? It's fucking nuts. And fuel here, when you look at the tax that's on it, it's tax upon tax upon tax. And the carbon, it's all a load of bullshit, lads. If you take Ireland and take any country in the world, they give off more steam than we do. Bar Iceland. We're a fucking tit of a thing. And yet we're at the front of the queue to take it, everything that Europe want. Like, Jack came home the other day from school that the teacher was teaching them about carbon gases and everything, about the cows farting. And he said to me, I said, Jack, will you don't put... Marion started laughing. I said, that is absolute shite.
I'd love to be in the kitchen with that conversation.
She goes, stop. I said, look at the airplanes. Look at the smell at the airport. How can our cows be giving off more fucking gas than the airplanes? Will you don't be listening to that shite? And we've started to believe it.
Well,
we're a nation of Amadons, like. It's an awful thing. I'm an awful positive person.
No. Right? But this is the thing. But I love the fact that to meet you, chat to you, and like you're not, like, you've proven that you're positive and you're actually doing positive things. But
when we say it out loud,
but
like this,
it's
scary.
It does frustrate you. As you said, like, being a self-employed person, Brian is, as I always say, when we start a business, we've created a job. As like, we've now left someone else's space to get another job somewhere else that we could have taken, but as you said, the benefits and the stress.
We are badly paid tax collectors. That's what we are. We are tax collectors.
Yeah.
Do you remember the case above in the three? That's what we are. Like, it's a sad state of affairs. But it's a great little country if we just went back to basics.
Yeah, but you're starting the trend anyways with your...
I'm hoping. And look, whether we do get back or we don't get back, and we're going to plough on, do our own thing.
Yeah.
And it's the best way. And be reliant on nobody.
And in the last couple of years, you've obviously blown up on social media. What was that like compared to 10 years ago, your life? Is it a headache? Is it you laugh at it all off? Is it an extra layer of headaches?
No, it's not an extra. There's an awful lot of positive from it. An awful lot of, I suppose my followers are very loyal, and I stuff I put up is usually to entertain people and make their day better, to show them my journeys along the way. If you're out to give me shit, you'll be told to unfollow me to fuck out the way very fast. But I'm awful lucky. Like, when I ask for help on social media, I get it. Yeah. Whether it be a part or someplace where we're looking to stay or whatever, people are very good like that. And the comments I get in are lovely. Absolutely lovely. Like, today's one, for example, was yesterday I was asked to go to the launch of the new children's hospice. And the stories were told by families on the big screen about having to go to Dublin to the hospice, and a mother been up there with a child and a father down here trying to take care of the other two kids and going up, back and up, and the laddie died on his way up and he wasn't there. And when you look at the video of the plan of the children's hospice and it done a 3D imaging, they have like a small apartment. So there's a sitting room, a kitchen, then there's the bedroom, lovely outdoor area. So the family can be there as a unit getting palliative care, but they're all there together. Yeah. And it's not till that story is told and understood that you say, this is unbelievable. Why aren't the state paying for this? Well, they only give a certain amount. The rest has to be fundraised. And all the bullshit that goes along with it. So my post today was, I was driving along thinking about this. This is for children that are dying, and the Tomb story came up of the mass grave with all the children. And I said, why aren't the church contributing? So I picked up the phone and I asked, how much have the church given towards this project? 0. How much did they give towards the last project? 0. Well, why don't we ask them? That's your business. And it was me, right? So I said, why don't they? Wouldn't it be a lovely gesture that they fork up a few million in memory of what went on in Tuam, and to show, look, we are good people. We want to keep everyone believing in us, and we want to support it. And you go down through the comments, and there's 60 or 70 before I came in here. There's 30 or 40,000 views in it already, and it's positive. Everyone's there. Yes, that's a good idea. I'm going to speak to the local priest. So I'm not pushing out a negative narrative.
No.
But we're looking at practical, sensible approaches. we're showing family life the way I have it, that the kids are working with us.
I love your farm stories. I would also say I'd love to have had a farm, but it's brilliant. And my favourite thing is when you talk to the cows.
Yeah.
The crack you have. And they obviously go, what's this madman talking to me about?
Pat Short, John Kinney and Pat Short, many happy day we had talking and singing to cows. And it's important to show all this. My life's very much an open book from it. So to answer the question, social media has been very positive. I've been very, very lucky. One comment I made on a cruise ship with Alan Clark got me in trouble. And again, you forget how many people are watching it. You forget how some people are sensitive. But as Cowboy Kelly said, a lot of people are nearly looking to find fault.
Waiting,
So them are the people I don't even bother with. Unfollow me to fuck out the way and let's move on and have the crack. And we share an awful lot of positive stuff for people, charities, people missing, anything like that. It's a very good platform. And it does, I suppose, it makes you more known. That's the only thing. Everywhere we are now, excuse me, I don't see to summit, up and down the creek, aloha, aloha, aloha. And when the kids are with me, do you know that fella? No, I don't know that fella. That's the only thing, you're more known. And it's lovely to meet people and hear their story, and then you cheer me up today or like that.
No, it's mad. It's amazing. As I said, and and I'm sure there's people that don't agree with every way you say things or how you say it. But I think when you hear the full story, and I know this has been a lovely chat, but listen back to your Alan Clark interviews as well, and again, just because you don't disagree with someone doesn't mean you have to not like them.
Correct. But a debate is healthy.
Absolutely. People are afraid to debate. It's not an argument.
No. And there was a brilliant podcast this week in the Two Johnnies. They had the Gravedigger on. He's heavily involved with the GA, but he said, I'd love a good row within the GA meeting. And he said, if we come out and everyone agrees, that wasn't a good meeting. And he's right.
Yeah.
What is the point, the chairman at the top just agreeing with everyone for the sake of agreeing, when debate is healthy?
Yeah.
Do we have to have an old row about it, but I wouldn't believe, because that's Brendan's opinion, fuck Brendan.
Yeah.
Brendan's entitled to his opinion.
It's mad. So what's your dream? Would you love to just be like a multimillionaire in 5 years' time and just stop doing everything? I can't imagine it.
No, I've changed.
Even if you have the money, I'm just saying.
That used to be my dream.
Yeah.
Private planes and all that caper in my head when I was younger. Now I'd love to see a trade school in every county. I'd love to be farming more, drinking pints and having the crack. That honestly is, and health and happiness are a massive part of that.
Of course, yeah.
But way back when I met Tim Kelly first and got a spin in the jet, I wanted a jet, I wanted a helicopter, I wanted all that. I don't know, is it old age or what's got to me? I'd prefer day at Ballinrobe Braces, day at the Mart, day at an agricultural show, a few pints on the way home, massive feed of bacon and cabbage, a few sun holidays. I'm gone into a very simple type person.
Do you know what? Sometimes simple is the best.
It is. I think simplicity is, and we need to go back to basics. I don't need massive frills at all no more.
Well, Donal, I had even questions here and I didn't even look at half them. I'm sure no guest that I've had on before, if they watch this, they will not give out to me for saying that was the most interesting, enjoyable interview I've done in my entire life. And I'm so uplifted by, I love the trade school idea. And you're an absolute beacon of energy and positivity. And again, yes, you might be a bit raw around the edges when you say something to some people. Who cares? But the soul and the spirit of the man you are is unreal, and your family are very lucky to have you. Your community is very lucky to have you. And I don't mean to get too dramatic, but I think Ireland is lucky to have you, because what you're doing surely can only grow. And young people going to your trade school must be like, oh, you've changed my life. I'm not leaving home. I found my passion, So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching will agree with me, go, fair play to what you're doing. It is a pleasure. I need to have met you, but I've loved having a chat to you, and keep going what you're doing. It's amazing.
No, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And look, having me down today, I appreciate it. And what you're doing, look, anything that's local and is the West of Ireland, I'm here to promote it.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, if people get a chance, go on to oldest@hisfeidirlinn.ie. Have a look at his Feidir Linn. Sorry, it's feidirlinntradeschool.ie.
Yeah.
Oldest@hisfeidirlinn is a website of what we're doing. It is all funded by the companies. If you wanted to throw in €50, we'd love to take it.
So they ask, like, if there's anyone watching, and this wasn't even an angle I was thinking of, but like if someone goes, we'd like to get involved, I could be a philanthropist, millionaire.
Yes,
I could be, or it could be a young person. How do I find out more? It's all there.
But
whatever you are.
Smaller things, like there's people that have donated, €100, and they want to see what it's going towards. Look, you can send it straight to the uniform company and pay for them. Look, all donations are greatly welcome. The money for this one, we'll just imagine there was €1 million made. That goes towards the next one, and the next one, and the next one. No one is getting paid. Nobody. Christina's paid by my company. The companies pay the students. Nobody's getting paid. So it is just, it's tight and it's tough going. But at Christmas, instead of saying, well, I'm going to get a one for all voucher for someone, fire it in, we'll send you a little note back to thank you, to send it on to somebody, because these things just don't happen.
Amazing. Unbelievable. Well, Donal, keep going what you're doing. I come back again sometimes to something else. I'm sure there's going to be something else happening again in your world. So the best of luck, and thanks for coming down.
Cor Míle Market. Thanks for having me, lads.
Cheers.
Remember, it's Feidir Linn.
Well, that was the one and only Donal Byrne, and you can't say that lightly, but that is definitely the one and only Donal Byrne from BRB Homes. It's Feidir Linn Trade School down in Mayo, and Eileen's Bar. Go have a visit. It looks amazing on Instagram. I have to get down there myself someday. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Brian behind the cameras, and thanks again to the Hawkswell for our lovely new studio space here. And thanks to our sponsors, Pet Stop Discount Warehouse. Go and check them out here in Sligo and all over the west of Ireland and beyond. We'll see you all again next time.
The Sligo Show is produced by Pixel Productions and hosted by Brendan Tierney. If you need video for your business or live event or would like to appear on the show, send us a message today.